Hello and welcome to the Sunday Guardian show by Joyeeta Basu. Viewers, as you know, President Donald Trump has just been sworn in as the 47th US President. And after, his swearing in, he has been very, very active. He has been signing around, I think 200 executive orders have been signed. So many things, he has come out of. So, for example, he has come out of the World Health Organization. He has come out of the Paris Climate Agreement. He has talked about, emergency has declared along the border areas with Mexico. So, a lot is happening. And also we saw, as you also must have seen, during that Mr. Jaishankar was sitting there right in front. He was right in front of Trump's lectern. So, he got the pride of place among the foreign dignitaries who had gone there. Now, in context of all this, what exactly the Trump presidency is going to mean for the world, for India, and we can even contrast that with Biden. Now, to discuss all this and more, I have got a very special guest with me, Ms. Semu Bhatt, who is a strategic affairs expert and also regularly writes for the Sunday Guardian. Welcome, Semu, for the show.
Thank you.
So, Semu, tell me what you think about Trump's inauguration.
I think he created buzz which everyone expected. The good thing about him, you can agree or disagree with his agenda, his views, his policies, his EOs that he has issued. But you have to admire he's completely unapologetic about the way he's doing things. I did wish that, Narendra Modi in 2014 was like that. Because if you are there, you have an agenda that you have promised to your voters, it's good to start on front foot, which he has.
No, but if I can point out, Semu, you're talking about Mr. Modi's first term. Trump was not like this in his first term. Think of the opposition that he faced. Now he has learned better and he is kind of going all out saying, I know how these bureaucrats have backstabbed me. I know how the system, the swamp as he calls it, they have really worked against me. So I'm going to fix them now. It is time to fix it. So yes, now please continue.
So which if he manages to fix it, it's going to be good for India because we are going to be indirect beneficiaries of it. If he goes ahead and fixes the deep state as he keeps on talking about it, then India is going to be benefiting out of it because India has for at least last 1 year of Biden presidency. We have faced a lot of interference from the US administration or deep state, whichever way you want to see it.
In what ways, if you can elucidate a bit?
It became so bad that your ruling party had to come out and talk about it openly. Because, see, there is kind of a circle of fire around India that has been created. And I cannot say that it would be wrong for me to say that US government has done it, but there are elements from the US deep state, if you like to call it that way, who are involved in it. So even in Bangladesh, if you see, Bangladesh government was overthrown, and by now everyone accepts that US played a role in it. And that is detrimental to India. This is like, India's geographical reality. You are sitting thousands of miles away and you try regime change operations in our neighborhood, which affects us badly, which affects our strategic interests badly. So, and there are many the whole Pannoon issue, all of that has been building up for a year or maybe a little more than a year, but it came to head in last year.
No, so you see, I have a slightly, more or less similar, but slightly different take on it in terms of, if you look at Mr. Biden's, we are going to talk about Mr. Trump, of course, in detail later. If you look at Mr. Biden's presidency, what you see over there, when Mr. Biden was, I think it has to do with also with certain health issues of Mr. Biden, because towards the beginning of his presidency, in spite of the Ukraine war and all, Biden has been very, very positive about India-US relations. If you look at the ISET, for example, that critical technology agreement, and it was under Biden That was for the first time that India was allowed to get critical technology. The backing that he gave to India during the G20 summit, because of which the declaration, the Delhi Declaration, and even otherwise, so many other things, there has been a huge amount of backing for India. But I think the problem that has started is that, Biden came to practice what is known as values-based foreign policy. Now, when we are talking about values-based foreign policy, that is a very good thing at one level. You're talking about spreading democracy and all that. But at another level, what happens is that when the values-based foreign policy gets weaponized, and when you're talking about the deep state, I don't even know whether that exists or not. I mean, of course, we keep hearing about the deep state or not, but yes, there are certain elements who maybe coming under certain influence of certain forces which are inimical to India's interests. They kind of get together and they exploit the fault lines that exist within any administration. I think in this case also, that is what has happened. So I would not like to see it as, the big bad thing that they were doing to us. Even with the Bangladesh, maybe they wanted to, they had a particular objective. They did not realize that India would become a collateral damage. That is how I see it. Yeah, please.
I do agree.
This is a chat, by the way. This is not supposed to be a question and answer. So if you find me talking too much, that is because this is a chat. Yeah, please.
I do agree with you about certain achievements in the India-US relationship during the Biden administration. But let me point out, we did start out on a very wrong foot. India was hit by second wave of COVID, and US take forever to come to help. It was only after US government faced a lot of criticism that, once US gets on board, then it gets on board big time. But it took long time to get on board. So that was there. And this despite the fact that in 2020, when US was going through, COVID first wave, and Donald Trump was the president, and he asked for HCQ, and India had just banned HCQ, and kind of he did indirectly threaten also, which is like his way of working in a way. So that time India had sent some 50 million tablets of HCQ to America immediately. You have to understand the fact that India sent this despite the very fact that India has a very big population, 1/6 of humanity, and taking care of just 1/6 of humanity is more than enough that you can do for the world in such a situation, especially when you are a fast growing big economy, which is like, has, and so your economic health as well as your public health is going to have implications on global aspect also. So, but India did help, and Donald Trump at that point of time had, as President of the United States, he had tweeted that this won't be forgotten. But within a year, US forgot that and, came to...
But government change also had happened.
Yes, but then, see, governments come and go, but as a nation, you have to have a continuous policy in certain aspects. If India is your important strategic partner, then India should remain your important strategic partner, irrespective of what government is coming in power. But after that, yes, he understood his mistakes and he made amends, and then
Biden, you're talking about.
Yes, Biden, yes. And it was like, he did say that this was one of the most defining relationships.
Yes, consequential.
So, but then again, as you mentioned, that his health, his declining health, which they kept on covering up, surprisingly, that led to a lot of interference in Indian affairs. And to come to a point where BJP had to openly talk about
Yes,
it.
that was absolutely
Because,
surprising.
Because if you remember Narendra Modi, everybody in 2012-13, if you see the US cables that were leaked, they were concerned. From 2010 onwards, they were concerned that if this person comes to Delhi, then he is going to harbor animosity towards the United States because of the visa issue. Narendra Modi did not show any of that. He only saw,
He's too smart and pragmatic for that.
also he understands that United States-India relationship is important for India's growth as well. So he put his personal issues aside and he embraced United States. But
I mean, if I can just say, that's the mark of a true leader. You put your country first before whatever feelings you may or may not have.
yes, and Narendra Modi, I mean, this is like getting little off track here, but I want to point out that, I have seen Narendra Modi's critics, his supporters turned critics, but I have not come across one supporter of his.
And maybe you can tell your viewers, you have known Mr. Modi also
Yes.
from Gujarat.
Yes, and I have followed his governance model for many, many years, and I mean, I knew he was going to be the Prime Minister. I was the early ones who kind of figured it out that he will reach Delhi. So I have not come across any supporter of his who might criticize him on his lack of actions on certain issues or on some policies, but they have never doubted his intention about India, which is a big thing for a leader. When your intentions, your actions are criticized, but your intentions are not doubted. So Narendra Modi did show that maturity, but then, for his party to feel so frustrated that they had to go public with it. I mean, it was convenient for them also because Donald Trump was coming in and
Yes.
had already, announced a war on deep state. So it was a convenient timing for them. It worked out, but BJP otherwise avoids doing this kind of things, especially when it kind of creates international, slugfest. It had the potential of creating it.
So, actually, I think, Biden was also a statesman. But the fact is that sometimes, I mean, especially when you're looking at the COVID situation in particular, those were circumstances which were tough for every country. And a lot of countries did a lot of things which I'm certain they wouldn't have done, in other situations if things are normal. No, but having said that, he did make up a lot, the relationship. But in spite of these, these glitches that happened, I think when it comes to Mr. Trump, I think the relationship, I mean, I see it as very hunky-dory. I see it as very positive and forward moving and forward looking. And one thing, if I can mention the issue of Bangladesh in particular, I think Mr. Trump was the only world leader, or is the only world leader outside of India, of course, who has spoken about the situation, the Hindus, the kind of oppression that they are facing, and not once, twice. I mean, that gives me hope.
Well, I agree with you that he did speak about it. And given his equation with Yunus, I mean, we can be more than hopeful that, he is going to force for elections in Bangladesh. And at least whatever indirect help is going in, he's anyway frozen the foreign aid for some time. So, and he's going to crack down on all the money that's going into Bangladesh from US at least. So that's good news for us. The bad news could be that Bangladesh could move to China.
Yes.
So, see, this is what I'm talking about, that when you create trouble in our neighborhood, it doesn't necessarily mean that once you stop, you get out of it, the trouble ends for us.
No,
And when you are seeing India as a strategic partner, you are seeing India as one of the most important relationships for you in this century, then you have to consider our interests. You can't just unilaterally get into situations which are damaging to us. So that, but I mean, I'm hopeful that Donald Trump, I personally believe that, I think it's much easier to deal with people like Donald Trump because there are no hidden kind of manipulation.
Hidden agenda is not there.
Whatever is happening
He's
is on your
upfront.
face. So it's much easier to deal with that. Another thing is that he and Narendra Modi both are common sense people. If you see Narendra Modi also, a lot of his decisions are very common sense, which is surprisingly very uncommon. But even in his speech yesterday, Donald Trump said this revolution of common sense or something like that. So he also makes a lot of decisions based on common sense. He's a businessman, he understands business. Modi is Gujarati, Gujarati is under inherent.
They epitomize business.
So I think it's they share a personal rapport. Then there are a lot of people close to Trump in the inner circle who are pro-India. The Secretary of State is pro-India. So the things will work out, I think, quite well for us.
But the question is that will Mr. Trump be able to dismantle the so-called deep state? Because again, I'm not even certain whether it exists or not, even though BJP is talking about it vociferously on publicly.
Well, I mean, well, nobody is certain about it.
Yes.
Best part of it. But there are elements for sure.
There are elements.
Now he is going after the funding. So that in itself is going to help, everyone, the whole world in a way. If he stops funding and he's this...
in certain areas.
This whole Dodge thing that they have started. So what I feel is that if money flow stops to and these elements do not get the kind of money access that they have, like Pentagon budgets are like they can't account for it. Every year they can't account for budget and like billions of dollars. So if that kind of stops, then in itself it's going to impact this elements, whether they are like an organized deep state or just like.
So what is your view about the fact that these are the two, I would say, because the rest of them are very domestic for them, but internationally two executive decisions stand out. Number one is that he has come out of that climate that body that is there, and the other one he has come out of WHO. So what is your view about this?
Well, this was expected, right?
Climate yes was expected because he did it the first time as well.
He was quite critical of WHO during the pandemic also. So, we didn't.
And rightly. I personally think WHO played a criminal role. They sucked out 2 years of all our lives.
Yes.
They just sucked it out.
Yes.
And there is no accountability for that.
And also there have been like whistleblowers who say that there's a lot of Chinese influence on.
Yes, of course.
And all of that. So there's that angle as well. But he has this very unidirectional way of thinking, wherein he just thinks that we are a less population paying more money to this multilateral bodies. But that's buying you the influence that you have around the world. He doesn't seem to take that into account. Probably he doesn't want to. He just thinks that military power, economic power is more than enough. This is kind of, I actually see this as an opportunity for India. Because if you want leadership of Global South, then you step in. You need not go through the WHO route, but bilaterally you go ahead and help nations, which India is doing in a way, like IOR and all. We are stepping up quite a bit, but you can expand. So, but again, you will be competing with China there as well. I am sure that I don't think WHO is going to be in a lot of trouble. Honestly, they will find private funders. So, maybe Bill Gates Foundation will step in more. It is already funding a lot.
My worry is that China will be stepping in more, and increasingly China, and knowing China or whatever we have been studying about China, the problem with China is that, and they come with a very benign face perhaps, but ultimately it's all about strategy, it is all about their own gain. And if this gives them the opportunity to bring the Global South under its ambit, under its influence, then they will go for it. But then China is also facing a lot of economic trouble, by the way. So it may not be as easy for them as they hope to be. So we'll find out. We'll find out. This is a very interesting development if I see it that way. A lot that we will be talking about. let's talk about the H-1B visa controversy. Now that is like a hot potato, and we can see so much is happening in the US.
No, it's already taken its first wicket in form of Ramaswamy.
Vivek Ramaswamy, who talked a little too much.
Yeah, he forgot the skin of his color. Sorry, I had to bring this.
Yeah, okay.
Um, I honestly speaking, I see this as a blessing in disguise.
For India.
For India, yes, because if you have this big mission of becoming a developed nation by 2047, you need these people here, not going abroad and making money for themselves and contributing only in form of remittances. You need these people building here, making things over here. So, I mean, it also remains to be seen how we absorb this group that can't go anywhere, like US especially. But if the government initiatives, and we have enough initiatives honestly, but if we increase ease of doing business more, if our employment generation increases and all these people are either like absorbed here or they are given opportunities to start something of their own, the conducive environment is created for that. Then I think it's good for India.
Yeah, in fact, I have a similar take. In fact, I'm a little more strident about it perhaps, because I'm going to say, I have very little sympathy for this H-1B people. I have very little sympathy primarily because again I'm going to say, you're going to say it nicely, I'm going to say you're totally driven by selfish reasons. You're totally driven by selfish reasons. You want to go there, you want to settle down there, you want, I don't know the process, how it works. You want to earn money, then you want to come back to India maybe for a visit after every 3 years and say, oh my God, I pity you guys. Sorry, that is how I have seen these people. That is how we all know. Semu, we all know. Let's not point, they think that, I'm going to say it on camera, they think that they are such superior people. So I've got very little sympathy for them. I mean, we Indians are doing so much. What are you doing? Why aren't you here? You are just looking after your own interests. You are all rushing there. You want to settle down over there. And then why don't you be here in this country? And don't blame everything on the government. Don't tell me that they are not giving me an opportunity. The government is giving you enough opportunity, especially under this current government. You are getting enough opportunities over here. So why aren't you here? Why are you running off over there to settle? Go visit. That is something but for God's sake, be a little loyal to your country. If you think you are going to, and the kind of subsidized education that these people have been getting in India. And that is, so basically, I am paying for your education so that you can go there abroad and have your 5 cars. I have a problem, okay? The H1, I know, I have lots of people who I know and all, they're not going to like it, but sorry, think of your country, do something over here and don't blame everything on the government. I mean, there are lots of people. Think of the number of startups that India has now. Think of the people, and these people are, globetrotters. They're going everywhere. You can make enough money over here. You can have an equally good lifestyle. So what are you, if you have that kind of money? So sorry, I have very little sympathy. So let us see. My worry is that, if they do not get to settle down over there, will they now be looking at any Tom, Dick, Harry, any country? But that is the problem. But provided, of course, they have the capacity to absorb that kind of numbers that we have. So I am also hopeful that this is a good thing for India, that these people, let's hope, will be creating much more over here than abroad.
I do agree to a point that I wish that more and more people were thinking about building India rather than just building their lives. I don't judge them or blame them if they decide to pick one over the other. But
did I sound very judgmental? Maybe a little bit.
The thing is that, this is again we are going a little off track here, but I would like to point out that, you have to create conducive environment for people to be part of India's story. The government alone cannot do that. What is your opposition doing? It scares me to think that they are only talking in terms of caste and all that. We'll discuss it probably in depth in some other podcast. But the point is that millionaires are running away from here. Because, the whole this thing about wealth the hatred that is being spread against wealth creators. So, I mean, as I said, we have to
That will be the subject for another podcast. So now, yeah, coming back to discussing Trump. So basically, uh, in terms of security and all, do you see positive steps? Do you think the Quad will get? I mean, I think the Quad was losing some relevance in all these last years. I mean, for the last 2-3 years, they didn't even have a summit. So do you think Quad and all will be back on the table? I mean, why was Jaishankar right there on the front seat?
Well, I don't know. With Trump, it's very hard to tell. But see, Quad was revived by him. Let's
Yes.
not forget.
And Mr. Modi and Shinzo Abe before that. Shinzo Abe and Modi before that. Huh?
Yeah, but I mean, during the Trump won. So I'm sure that he would be keen on, putting more emphasis on it. It all, I mean, we have to wait and see how it plays out with China. A lot will depend on that also. Your WHO question where like, China would like be influencing it more and more and all that. But I mean, if Trump goes all out with tariff war with China, then probably the socio-economic condition in China itself will deteriorate and it may not have the kind of money to like, do all these things. So as I said, it could just like all work out for India quite well in that case. But I mean, it was good to see Mr. Jaishankar there sitting right in front. And
especially when the Japanese foreign minister was, I think, towards the back, and I think that some president or prime minister was sitting next to him. So it was actually a bump up for him as well.
But see, it could also be because Trump invited Xi Jinping to come for this. Jinping did not come, and so then Trump was sending a message that I mean, these are the things where like
you never know what the messaging was about.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, Trump does not have particular animosity towards India.
Not at all. Not at all. He likes
his
India.
family, his daughter especially is pro-India. His Secretary of State is pro-India. So his inner circle, his vice president's wife is an Indian. So Elon Musk, though he has interest in China, he wants to enter the Indian market. So I mean, India really does not have too much to worry about. We obviously have this visa issue which will come up. We also have the fact that we will be dealing with a leader who is unpredictable. But we did deal with him quite well in his first tenure. So I think we should be okay.
Yeah, and frankly, Semu, being in a country which is witnessing so much illegal immigration from maybe a country like Bangladesh, I mean, I can understand the frustration of any country when you're being flooded with illegal immigrants and they are bringing in a lot of things that can be, I mean, we know what's happening in our country. So I don't see, I mean, as I said, if somebody has decided to go there illegally, what can the government do about it?
No, it is illegally.
I mean, what can Indian government do about it? They are not going to push your case. How can we?
No, that is true. That is true. No, illegal immigration, I think nobody will, especially in India, nobody is going to cry about it. But visa issue could be yeah. But I feel that his history, especially the thing with Trump is he's very unpredictable. So if you remember in 2019 he offered to intervene in India-Pakistan knowing very well that India is touchy about this thing. And then last year he came out and said that he offered to take action on India's behalf against after the Pulwama attack. So I mean,
I think we are mature enough to handle that. We can handle it.
That's what I'm saying, that India can handle it well.
Yeah. No, I think we can handle it. And now to end this conversation, we'll have to, of course, because it's a long chat that can go on and on. So, I mean, it's basically, I see it as, net, it's a positive. It's a positive.
Yes.
It's a positive, and we look forward to what happens. All that is legal and above board. I mean, the human part of the decision, that it is not just the governments to solve, it's also the human beings involved to solve. And but apart from that, when it comes to, I would say, in terms of defense relationships, strategic partnership and all, I think we can really look forward to it a lot. And let's hope the 4 years of the Trump and Quad, I see it being revived. There is a possibility of Mr. Trump visiting India. Some people are saying as early as April, but I'm not so certain about that. It could even be for the Quad meeting. But I think it's positive on the whole.
Yes, I think Narendra Modi just has to deal with Trump as a Gujarati. Like I would like to point out Gautam Adani's post right after Trump's victory, where he said that he's going to invest in US and he's going to generate so and so much of employment. Give him business, give him money, buy his oil, buy his weapons.
Yeah.
That's how you deal with person who's promised many things to American.
Yes, he will look after. We have to look after our own interest. He will look after his own interest. And there has to be a meeting ground between the two.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
So basically, some give and take
happen.
We
did buy so many Boeing aircraft from them. Remember, 500 or something like that?
So, we will
give them some talking points.
Yes. So basically, if he has to sell India to his supporters, he has something good to show up.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's smart diplomacy. Okay, and it applies to both sides actually.
Yes, and both are good. India under Narendra Modi is India first.
Yeah.
Trump is America first. So I think both understand each other in that sense.
Semu Bhatt, being a Gujarati, speaks like a true Gujarati. Okay, but somehow even I'm thinking like that. I'm realizing, in spite of being a Bengali. So thank you, Semu, so much for coming for this show. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Until the next time.